Hello and welcome to our tutorial. In this video, you will see how to set up a gauge. A gauge measures progress toward a goal. It can display two values, one with a needle and the other with a marker on the scale. To add a gauge, click on the gauge icon in the component area. The data setting area has two main items, the actual value and the target value. These two values are indicators defined by an aggregation function, which Biwee will compare. The actual value will be the default value displayed in the gauge, and the target value will be used for comparison. For example, I want to compare my sales amount with the sales objective. I drag the sales amount field in the actual placeholder, then I drag the sales objective field in the target placeholder. Biwee calculates automatically the absolute variation between my actual sales amount and the target. I can change the scale and the delta indicator settings using the cogwheel in the Data Items section. To set the scaling, you have two possibilities: automatically by selecting Auto or manually by unchecking Auto and setting your own values. For example, I set the maximum value to 12 billion and I want to display the percent variation instead of the absolute variation. The next option is the result indication. Sometimes it is better to be under the target, so the result indication to choose would be less is good. In this example, I leave the default mode. The two last options enable you to define the tolerance threshold that will be used for coloring the result indication if you selected above, warning if greater or warning if less. The threshold can be expressed as a percentage of the target or as an absolute value. In the Format tab, you can configure all values. For example, I will change the scale label and set the format as a currency and the unit as millions. You can do this configuration for each value type. Now, I want to have this comparison for each of the sales representatives. I drag and drop the sales representatives field in series. Now I have a gauge for each sales representative. To configure interactions and display features for your gauge, you can click on the cogwheel in the top right section of the item and then set your common and format options. You can change the arrangement of the gauges. For example, select Arrange in Columns and enter 3. Then you can change the style of your gauge to a half circular or three-quarter circular. You can add drill down in the gauges by clicking on the Drill Down button in the Interactions tab, and then add the store city in the series area. When clicking on a sales representative, you can now see its performance for each store. Use the arrow to come back to the upper level. We can add another set of gauges by dragging new actual and target values. For example, we want to see the progress of the sales quantity. We drag sales quantity in the actual placeholder and sales objective in the target placeholder. It creates a new set of gauges available when clicking on the Layer button. Each set of gauges will have its own settings. Thank you for watching this video. For more information on layout and interaction, refer to the documentation in the description.